Hey everyone, welcome to Transformational Tuesday with Tasha. I am Tasha McDonald and I am thrilled to have you here. This is episode 2 for season 2, and we are digging into my book, Fight for Your Next Level. And I want to make sure that you are aware that this book right here is available. So if you would like to get a copy of this book, you can go to Amazon and get the Kindle version, or you can also get the book, and there's notes in the description where you can get it by Cash App or Venmo. And again, those notes are in the description. But I was inspired this season to do this particular topic, Fight for Your Next Level, because when I wrote this book back in 2019, I wrote it for every woman who was in leadership and business, who was out here fighting for everyone else and needed a reminder to know that you are not forgotten. And today, this topic that we're going to be talking about from this book is very near and dear to my heart. I wrote this as a 10-day devotional, and I wanted to write it from a place of locating yourself while you're fighting through to your next level from a place of victory. And the title for today is called Inside These Walls. And when I wrote this, Inside These Walls, I thought about sometimes in life we can strive for new levels, for growth, for things like that. And what happens is we'll take 2 steps forward and 5 steps back. And what happens is we'll start to get stuck or stagnant or paralyzed. And a lot of times we fall into the trap of these comfort zones. And if we're not careful, we can stay stuck in comfort zones and literally erect walls to where we feel trapped behind the walls. And the danger of the walls is we can't get out, but we don't let anybody else in, or we don't let opportunities in. And so if you are sitting on the other side of this, knowing that there's more in you, but knowing that you have settled in a comfort zone for whatever reason, there's hope today. And I want to share some things that we can do to not just tear down the wall, but to make sure that we don't erect them again. And in fact, we want to make sure that instead of walls, that we just have healthy boundaries. Maybe gates, because a gate can swing open both ways, right? But when we have walls, that is definitely a trap, and we stay stuck behind. And so, speaking of inside these walls, this chapter or this section in the book, I wrote a story in this, and it's probably one of my most vulnerable stories. I've written 3 books so far, and this book I wrote was my last one. And this section, I decided to get very raw, very real, very vulnerable. And let me just put this caveat out here. The only reason that I actually was able to share this from a place of healing was the fact that I actually went through counseling. I went through counseling. I had a life coach. I've had supports circle of people, not a whole lot of people, but I was able to do the internal work. So by the time I got ready to write this book, it was as if I was writing about someone else. And it was as if I was writing about a different experience. There were scars there, but they were no longer fresh wounds. So I got to put that caveat out there, because when you get the book and you read this section, for sure, it's very vulnerable, it's very raw, and it's very, very real. And why did I share this? Why did I feel the need to share this? Because, like I mentioned, I wrote this book for women who lead, women who influence, women in business. And a lot of times, speaking of those walls, we erect those walls and we hide behind our comfort zones. And there's this false sense of security because sometimes we have not resolved past issues. And sometimes we have gotten stuck, even though we're maturing in age, where time is passing. Sometimes we get stuck emotionally, mentally at a level that the place of stuckness was where the thing happened, the failure, the pain, the shame, and in some cases the trauma. And if we don't deal with it, we can stay stuck there, and that can become a place of familiarity. It can become a place of comfort that we're wondering why, when we have these dreams and we have these visions and we have these plans and these purposes, we're wondering why we're not able to progress. What is it that's holding us back? Why are we able to dream about it, but then when we take the action steps towards it, we feel like we're paralyzed in fear? And a lot of times it's because we're still stuck at that place. Does that make sense? So I wanted to tell this story to kind of show my process of how I got unstuck. And none of us are perfect. None of us have arrived. We're all on a journey. We are all a work in progress. So this is one area that I had to deal with and address so that I would not be able to hide behind the walls anymore and use the comfort zone of familiarity as an excuse. And so I'm not going to tell you what the story is. You got to read the book. I can't give you everything, right? But you definitely have to read the book. But when I shared this story, it was amazing to me because I was able to look at this and see the patterns. I can see the patterns. I can see the unhealthy cycles. Um, and in some cases, I could look at that and say, wow, I created an inner vow back then, and I was still living out those vows because, again, the walls were erected and it was comfortable. And I had to get to a place where I could locate myself with the right help. So let's talk about comfort zones. Okay. Comfort zones have a lot of negative connotations because they do, in some way, create that false sense of security because it is familiar. But what happens, though, with the comfort zones is it holds us back from our highest potential. And we know, like, again, we can see that there's more, we can want more, but for some reason our actions are not lining up with our desires, right? And so when I'm speaking to women in particular who are influencers, who are in business, who are in leadership and in ministry too, one of the things that we have to do is we have to make sure that we're not putting the desire for other people to be healed, to be whole, and making that bigger so that we feel like we're being effective outside of us, but then we're losing ourselves. I believe with all my heart that God wants us whole, He wants us healed, and He wants us healthy. And He does have a purpose for us. He does want to use us. But I'm just crazy enough to believe that He wants to do it in us first, then He can do it through us. And so we have to make sure that we're not putting the cart before the horse and we're not out here trying to be a savior for everybody else, but neglecting ourselves in the process. And again, that's where that familiarity comes in. And in some cases, that can turn into codependency because there's something that feels really good about helping other people because it takes the focus off of ourselves. But my friends, that's not healthy. That is not healthy at all. So when you set on a journey to say, I feel called. It's not even about what you want. It's, I feel the call. I feel the pull to business, to leadership, to ministry. I believe that the first thing we have to do is we have to surrender our lives. We have to literally put ourselves on the altar, right? So that we can be healed from the inside. So then again, we can be there for everyone else. And so you may be sitting on the other side of this thinking about some things in your life right now, desires that you have. Is it to start a business, to grow a business? Is it to learn how to speak up more? Is it to start a new career path? Is it to reinvent yourself? Whatever that looks like, I'm here to tell you that if that desire is in you, I believe that that is a good thing. And I believe that God speaks to us through desires. And sometimes those desires that we have, that is actually the healed you or the whole you putting a demand on you to say there's more of us than what we've experienced. There's more of us than what we have seen. And so the fact that you have the desire, that's a good thing because that means that you're alive, you're here, there's hope, right? So that's a good thing that you're wanting to do those things. So I don't believe we have to throw in the towel because we have to be healed in areas and say, well, because I have this desire over here, but I can't do it because I have this unresolved thing over here. I think if anything, we let that be the motivator and the hope for where we're going, but we just have to make sure that again that we're doing the work so that we can show up complete and not perfect, not perfect. And so we've got to deal with these comfort zones because when we step outside of the comfort zone to pursue the wholeness and the healing, it's not going to feel comfortable. Your flesh is going to be screaming. Anybody on here? Hi, Miss Aura. Anyone on here and everyone else who's watching, do you resonate with what I'm saying so far? Because that's the thing about behind the wall, behind the comfort zone, is it feels safe. But again, it's a false security. When we stand up and say, I want more, I will be more, then that's when we start to feel, okay, whew, am I sure about this? We start to experience all the things. I literally have this sign on my wall that I look at every day. It says, do it afraid, because fear is real. It is so real. But here's the thing. I I actually think it's normal that we feel that when we're leaving the comfort zone or when we're being stretched. I would be concerned if I wasn't feeling it because then that means that I'm depending on me, right? And so when you step out of your comfort zone, just please know that the feelings of fear, anxiety, all of that is normal. It's normal because you're going to a place that you've never been before. You're taking all of you, and you're reconciling your past and your present and you're pursuing your future for sure. And there are benefits. There's benefits to stepping outside of your comfort zone. And I want to talk about some of those benefits right now. So, one of the benefits is when we step outside of our comfort zone, even though we feel the fear, even though we feel the anxiety, even though we feel the uncertainty at times, I promise you that if you just keep stepping, all of those things will eventually turn into confidence and it will help you build your resilience muscle. It will help you. I promise you. It's weird because it's like you got to go through that to get to the other side. But I promise you, if you dare to step out of your comfort zone and dare to just literally sit with the feelings of fear and anxiety and all that, just don't stop. They will turn into confidence and you will build your resilience for sure. And at the end of the day, that's going to be the thing that help you conquer future challenges. Because if you can do it in one area, you will be able to do it again. And chances are, as you're sitting here today, chances are this is not brand new to you. You have already tested this theory in another area. The only reason why you may be feeling the fear, the anxiety now is because you're on a new level. You following me? Every new level introduces you to another version of yourself. So it may feel like you're starting over again, but you're not where you used to be. You're not. A lot of times, what happens though is we just have to make sure that we are healed from the very areas where we got stuck so that when you get to this new level, all of you is on that new level. So that's the first benefit is stepping outside of the comfort zone actually does help you build confidence. It does. And the only way that you're going to be able to do this is practice resilience daily. Practice it daily. Number two, benefit for stepping outside of your comfort zone is it actually leads to self improvement, to learning, and to growth. Because what you're doing is you're challenging yourself. And when you challenge yourself with new experiences, you will learn. You will learn and you're going to grow. You're going to try new things. Your knowledge is going to be expanded. Your skill set will be improved. You will grow. And here's the other thing about learning. You get to learn what works, you get to learn what doesn't work. And you don't have to be afraid of failing, because all failure is you tried something, it didn't work, and you course correct. That's all it is. And you learn from it. And so when you step outside of your comfort zone, that's another benefit right there, is you're going to grow, you're going to learn, you're going to increase and improve for sure. And then what'll happen is you will be able to emerge as this newer version of yourself, and you'll be ready. You know, the old you wasn't ready for the new experiences and opportunities that are coming your way right now. You had to be stretched, right? You had to be stretched. So, the first one I said, stepping outside of your comfort zone, the first benefit is it helps build confidence and resilience. The second benefit is it will lead to self improvement, it will lead to learning, and it will lead to growth. And why is that important? Because the third benefit is about opportunities. It opens you up to opportunities. You literally become a magnet. I promise you, you become a magnet for opportunities. When I wrote this section in here on my day two inside these walls, I had to again go back and see. Okay, now I see where the inner vows came from. Now I see where the negative mindset, the negative patterns, the cycles. I started to see some of those things. And where I got stuck, there was an incident that happened when I was 15 years old. And I realized that my emotional intelligence was still 15-year-old Tasha. Are y'all following me? And I'm not 15 anymore, you know? And so I had to literally do the work. But then guess what, y'all? In doing the work, and I'm not sitting here saying I'm perfect, because all of us are a work in progress. But when you lean in to do the work, guess what? You open yourself up to opportunities. You don't have to worry about, will I succeed? Will I be successful? You will. You will. You will. I just want to say that again. You will. You have to be willing to embrace the opportunities that come, because they will come. They will. And the opportunities can come in so many different ways. It could come in, if you're in a career, maybe it could come in a promotion. If you're in business, maybe it could come in opportunities in business. Or if you're operating your purpose, it will come. It will come in opportunities. Okay, so that's career, business, but it could come in the opportunities of love. It could come in the opportunities of friendship. It could come in the opportunities for peace. Let's talk about those intangible things. There are opportunities that are waiting for us if we're willing to come out from behind the walls and leave our comfort zone. Opportunities are waiting for us on the other side. They are. The fourth thing that is a benefit, a fourth thing is a benefit, is you become more adaptable. You know, um, the more you step out of your comfort zone, the more you train yourself to be adaptable to changes. And why is that beneficial? Because when you can conquer new challenges, your resilience improves. You learn to be adaptable. You learn to adapt to different situations. And when you're in leadership, when you're in business, those are adaptability is a necessary trait in our world, because our world is constantly changing. Our world is constantly evolving. And some of y'all may struggle with change because maybe you're a slow adapter, or maybe it feels scary or threatening or things like that. But when you can learn how to get out of your comfort zone, this is another muscle or another skill set that you can learn how to adapt. This is a soft skill set, but you can learn how to be adaptable. And when you're adaptable, you'll go places. You'll go places. Adaptable with people, adaptable with circumstances, with situations, with different things. The fifth benefit 4, getting outside of your comfort zone is overcoming fear builds emotional strength. And there is an assessment that you can take called emotional intelligence, and there are books on this matter. But when you can build your emotional strength, you can learn how not just to be paralyzed by fear, but you can learn how to leverage fear because you build that emotional maturity to where you don't run from situations, but you learn how to leverage situations. You know, you learn how to stand strong in the face of fear. You learn how to stand strong in the face of uncertainty, in the face of anxiety. When the thoughts come, you learn how to build that emotional strength to where you can develop that self talk. Where you can, because here's the thing, if you can talk yourself out of something, you can talk yourself into something. And a lot of times we need that emotional strength and that emotional maturity in order to cheer for ourselves, in order to develop that inner confidence, that self confidence that we need, especially as we're out here being a help and serving other people. And every time you step out of your comfort zone, every time you try to do something you don't think you could, you get stronger. You get stronger. And here's the thing, y'all, it's not the absence of fear that gives you the ability to succeed. It is actually the ability to push through it. I'm going to say that again. It's not the absence of fear that gives us the success that we desire. It's the ability to push through the fear. And that's where getting outside of your comfort zone is very beneficial because it's going to build that emotional strength for you. Now, I'm going to read those again. The first one was stepping outside of your comfort zone helps to build confidence and resilience. The second one is stepping outside of your comfort zone. A benefit is it leads to self improvement, learning, and growth. And the third one is it actually opens up opportunities for you. The fourth one is you learn to become more adaptable. And the fifth one, overcoming fear builds emotional strength. And if you're watching either live or the replay, I would love to know which one of those really resonated with you the most. Which one of those benefits? And with everything that we do when we are growing and we're fighting for our next level, we want to make sure that we understand that breaking free from your comfort zones does not have to be an overnight thing. It's a process. So, in the process, we want to make sure we understand it's okay to start small, it's okay to be patient, and it's okay to be consistent. It's okay to start small, start where you are with what you have, with what you know, be patient, and stay consistent. And one of the things that I really learned about myself when I wrote this section on Inside These Walls is I had to learn again to face face who I am while I see the patterns and the cycles that were so obvious that it was like new situation, same patterns, new person, same patterns, same cycles. It was so obvious that I was the common denominator in those things. And in some cases, even now, have to break, right? And so, one of the things that I just want to encourage you with is this: it is your choice on whether you stay inside the comfort zone or whether you knock that wall down and get on the other side. But what I want to encourage you is this: staying in the comfort zone is a false sense of security. You're going to have to stretch, you're going to have to grow in order to get to the other side. And some things that you can do while you're fighting for your next level, these are some action steps I just want to leave with you. One of the first things that I had to do is really draw strength from my faith. Because when I try to do it within my own strength, sometimes insecurity won. A lot of times people's opinions overpowered my desire to want to win. Um, Rejection all of that stuff. There's so many things that when you declare who you are, life will fight you. I'm telling you, it's not just a walk in the park. And so for me, I have to, not had to in past tense, present tense, and future, draw strength from my faith because there are days that, when I tell you that I have to literally go to my Bible, there are days that I literally have to look into the word of God to see, who am I? What is it that I'm supposed to do? How am I supposed to live? How am I going to overcome in this area? So that's one of the things that for me, that is working is just drawing strength from my faith in God and learning how to apply those principles and promises. Because as much as I want to say, yeah, I'm strong, I'm this, I'm that, how many of y'all know that we're just one choice away from giving up? So that's one thing that I would just say for me is working, is drawing strength from my faith. And the second thing that I'm learning that is invaluable, that sometimes we overlook, is the power of reconnecting with yourself. So, two powerful connections: my connection with God and my connection with myself. And we have to find ways to be more patient with ourselves, because choices that we made back in the past, some of us, if we're not careful, we're still beating ourselves up about. We're still lingering in the guilt and the shame. We're still rehearsing the pain from it. And so we have to be patient with ourselves and give ourselves grace and mercy to say, you know what? That person who made those decisions, I forgive her. I am not her anymore. And we have to look and say, I may not even know fully who I am in this moment, but what I do know is I'm not that anymore, which is why, going back to number one, I have to draw on the strength from my faith, because the fight a lot of times is fight for identity. And who are we now in this version of ourselves? And if we're not careful, we will allow the world to tell us who we are. We will allow circumstances to tell us who we are. So that's why that's my number one and number two: connection with God, drawing strength from Him, but connecting with myself and being more patient and allowing myself to experience grace and mercy and forgiveness from me. Because sometimes we would have gotten forgiveness from everybody else. Everybody else has moved on, but we're still holding ourselves hostage to the person that we were when we got stuck. And while we're doing this, we have to learn how to talk kinder to ourselves. You know, how are you talking to yourself? How are you speaking to yourself? Are you speaking kind, or are you beating yourself up? And a lot of that is stemmed from how we're thinking about ourselves, you know? And then here's something that I just want to just throw out there too. We have to get to a position where we're letting love in. We're letting God's love in. We're letting our love for ourselves in. And then please understand, there are people who are for you. Not everybody, I get it. But there are people who are for you, that it may only be less than a handful, but let love in, let support in. You are worth loving. That's what you got to know. You're worth loving. And I'm speaking to women who are in leadership, women who are influencers, women who are in business. I know exactly what I'm saying. You are support for everybody else, but I'm here to remind you that you are worth loving. You are worth loving. And the other one is let purpose flow through you, because you have a purpose. You are capable. You are equipped. We are all on this journey of growth. We are all on this journey of gaining knowledge and understanding. And no, we don't always get it right. But these are some things I just wanted to just share with you. These are things that I'm doing that are necessary in order to stay in the fight, and fight from a place of victory, not from a place of defeat. And so in this section, in this inside these walls, I ended this with some affirmations. And these affirmations, and if you think about affirmations, these are things that you are in agreement with the strong you, the healed you, the whole you. And so I just want to kind of conclude this by sharing these affirmations. And one of them is, you have to get to the place where you know, I am not my past. Yes, I have a past, but that is not who I am anymore. I am not my pain. That is not how I identify myself. I am not my shame. I am a miracle. I am an answer. I'm going to repeat those. I am not my past. I am not my pain. I am not my shame. I am a miracle and I am an answer. And my friends, on the other side of this, I want to encourage you to write some affirmations about yourself for yourself. You don't have to share it with anybody, but you do have to hear yourself say it out loud and get into agreement with what God says about you so that you can know what you need to say about you. And again, I'm doing this season, Transformational Tuesday with Tasha. I'm taking a different approach. I'm sharing more about my faith. I'm sharing more about my journey. And there's things in this book, like I said, you'll have to read for yourself. But this is a 10-day devotional. If you don't have it, like I said, you can get it on Amazon. You can get the Kindle version and read it on your phone or your iPad or whatever your device is. Or if you actually want to get a physical copy, we can mail that to you. It's $25, which includes the shipping and handling, and you can send it to my Venmo, Tasha McDonald, or Cash App, $Tasha McDonald 7. And that's in the description for this tonight. But I want to thank you for being on this journey with me. I want to thank you for showing up for you. And next week, when we come together, we're going to do day 3, which is the next section of this. And the title of this is The Way Out is Through. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. And I hope that there's something that I shared that resonates with you, that you can chew on that and you can be encouraged to know you're not alone, and to also know that you have a choice and you do not have to stay stuck in your comfort zone. Thank you so much for just being in this community. And I am so grateful for you and I'm praying for you. Have a great rest of your day, and I will see you next Tuesday on Transformational Tuesday with Tasha. Bye.